Back at it again for another week. Tell you. I've got my coffee. That's all I need really, isn't it? My coffee. My early morning start this morning. Welcome back to the Brooke Army Podcast, episode 4. Well, welcome back to another episode. Hope everybody out there is doing well. I've had a good week since I last spoke to you last Thursday. If you haven't checked out last week's podcasts, don't forget to go and check them out on Spotify, Apple Music, and also on YouTube. Hope everybody out there has had a good week. I've had a pretty half-decent few days since I last spoke to you. A couple of things I want to talk about on the podcast today. Very proud dad this week, I must say. Very proud dad. Also a bit of reflection this week as well. So it's been a pretty interesting last few days. So it has. But yes, I'm back for another week to sit here and talk a load of nonsense to you. Welcome back to the family-friendly version of the Brooke Army Podcast, episode 4. Thanks to everybody who's been in touch with me over the last few days in relation to a few subjects. I do appreciate it. Appreciate all your emails and stuff. Got a couple of messages I want to read out today. If you haven't listened to last Thursday's episode where I talked to you guys about the TV license situation here in the UK, because quite a lot of you have been getting in touch with me about that, where I talk about TV license and stuff like that. Should you need a TV license in the UK? A lot of interesting emails, a lot of interesting messages on Instagram and Facebook as well. So thank you to everybody who's been in touch with me about that, telling me your stories on the situation. A lot of positives, a couple of negatives dropped in there, but that was just to be expected. But yeah, thanks for all you guys tuning in to that episode. I really do appreciate it. So before I continue on with the podcast today, I just want to do what I like to call every week housekeeping. Obviously fill you in with all the different things you need to know here about the podcast and more. So let's get started right away. For all your basically your main hub of the Brooke Army, whether it be the podcast, the YouTube channel, or anything else that do related to us, brookearmy.co.uk is where you can get all your videos from all the YouTube channels, whether it be myself, the Brooke Army YouTube channel, Redmen Football Adventures, which we've just added a couple of new videos to this past week, also Lewis's YouTube channel, and also the podcast channel here. If you're listening to us on YouTube here right now, brookearmy.co.uk, you can get all your Brooke Army merchandise, whether it be the YouTube channel merch, hoodies, t-shirts, you name it, we've got it there. Podcast wear is there too. New hoodies have been released, a couple of different coloured style t-shirts. We're trying to get women's t-shirts added to it this week, also some kiddie t-shirts as well, because I've had a couple of parents wanting some Brooke Army podcast t-shirts for their young ones, so we're trying to get that organised this week. All our social media posts from whether it be Facebook or Instagram, you can check out all the photos and stuff like that that we post online. brookearmy.co.uk. If you want to get in touch with me personally, you can contact me on Instagram, official Matthew Moore, and also if you want to get in touch with the Brooke Army overall on Facebook, Brooke Army YouTube channel on Facebook, drop a like on the page and give us a follow on there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thanks for all your support over the last week. I do appreciate it. Again, I'm sat here recording this podcast. I normally record these podcasts for Tuesday on a Monday evening or Monday afternoon if I get a chance, and also record the Thursday episode either on a Wednesday morning or Wednesday evening. But today I'm recording this Tuesday one, which is about to drop on Tuesday morning. Yeah, because yesterday was absolutely insane for me. What a day it was yesterday. I think I said to you last week, guys, I'm doing a bit of work to my house at the minute. I'm trying to balance that in. I'm trying to obviously work and do all the different things as well. I was away to football at the weekend there with Lewis. We had 2 games on Saturday. It's just been one of those bedlam weeks. It just hasn't stopped. we were going to go to ice hockey on Sunday, but we decided not to go because we stayed at home to watch the Liverpool game, which we kind of regret doing now because Liverpool got tanked by Arsenal. Well, I'd say tanked, it was only 3-2, but even so, we didn't play overly great. And our next game is this Wednesday night against Rangers at Ibrox, which is going to be another interesting one considering we've got 2 players out injured after the other day. So, yeah, it's been a pretty hectic few days. Trying to fit everything in between trying to get the house sorted out, work, kids, you name it. It's the joys of being a single dad. It really has been a hectic few days. But yeah, Saturday was interesting. 2 football matches. We were home to, the 21s game was down the road from us at Wilger Park in East Belfast. They drew 1 each with the Duns. And then we played Newington in the championship, and I want to just say thanks to a couple of people who came up and said hello to me because they recognised the YouTube channel, and also I started listening to the podcast. And there was a guy I met there with his young lad who him and his wife both listened to the podcast on Spotify, so a big thanks to them for coming up and saying hello. His name was Ian. I can't remember what he said his wife's name was, so Ian, if you're listening, thank you very much for coming up and saying hello. You introduced me to your young son who's been watching the videos for about 2 years now. He was there watching the game on Saturday, and I don't know why he was a Newington fan or not, but he was there, and he spotted me and Lewis walking across the pitch, and he said hello. So, and a couple of our young lads come up as well and wanted a few selfies and stuff like that, which was great, and we had a quick chat with them and all and stuff like that. So thanks to everybody who came up to us at the weekend. I want to tell you a funny story actually. I think I told it on the YouTube channel, yesterday's video. I put a video up yesterday where Lewis was playing basketball in Smith's toy store. Unreal. Go and watch the video out, guys. I don't know what he's playing at, but it was interesting. I did tell the story on the channel, but I want to tell it here on the podcast as well. Now, my dad, who, is a big Liverpool fan like me, and for years and years and years, he would have took me to Irish League football games growing up as a boy. Now, this week I celebrate 12 years in the Irish League, which I put a post out this morning. I'm going to talk about that shortly. My journey in the Irish League, I've had a great journey over the last 12 years. A lot of ups and downs, but I'll tell more about that later on. Yeah, it was Lewis and I were getting ready. It was round about 20 past 2 on Saturday, and Lewis and I are coming across the pitch, and our chairman's trying to get my attention to get a photograph done with the Welders Player of the Month, which we do every month. The club has an award every month for the best player in the squad, and they get an award. We take photographs, put it on the website, social media, the usual stuff you do whenever you're working for media and stuff like that, which is grand. And coming across the pitch, and I heard this regular voice, and I'm going, who the? And I look across the pitch, and on the outside of the fence is Dad. And I'm going, what the hell's he doing here? And the last time Dad was up at our new stadium, it was a building site. So it was an absolute building site. And he hadn't seen the new stadium completed. And obviously, he saw it on the highlights on Welders TV and stuff like that. He watched a couple of the games. They've had international games and all there at the new stadium too as well on BBC or whatever else. He saw clips on YouTube and stuff like that as well. So I was like, what the hell is he doing here? So me and Lewis went outside to see Mum and Dad, and I was like, what are you doing here? And they were like, oh yeah, well, we're just out doing a bit of shopping. I thought I'd swing by and say hello and stick my nose to the fence and say hello and see the stadium. And I thought, just want to come and watch a game. Mum was like, no, I'm tired, maybe another day. And I was like, right, okay. And Dad's like, I need to go bathroom. I was like, right, okay, Dad, where's the bathroom? Maybe you can go to the public toilet, but I'll take you through into where the staff go to. It's just inside the main stand where it's a private area. There's obviously not available to the public and stuff like that there. So I took Dad through, and Dad was really impressed. Took him through the main doors where all the referees come through, the players, the staff only, and things like that, and took him into the stand, or the area, the private area. Went to the bathroom, and he came out, and I goes, Dad, do you want to come through where the change rooms are, and I'll walk you down the big tunnel. At our new stadium, we have a big tunnel, which is quite impressive, and it walks you straight onto the pitch, and you can see the stadium properly. And he was like, oh yeah, definitely cool. So I'm laughing about this now, but at the time it wasn't funny. Walking down the tunnel, and Dad's walking toward he's going to kill me for laughing. Walking down the tunnel, and literally I turned my back for about a split second, And the next minute all I heard was bump, like a ball coming, like a bang of a ball hitting the wall. And I turned around, there's Dad holding his face. When the players warm up every week, right towards at the end of their warm up, they do like a shooting practice thing against the goalkeeper, and then once they take their shots, they run straight off the pitch and into the dressing room. So obviously, one of the players struck the ball, came across the fence, over the top of the net, and smacked Dad right in the face. Could have knocked him out, but it didn't. So anyway, Dad's up, I'm panicking, I'm going, Dad, are you okay? He's a bit dazed, looks a bit glazed over and stuff like that. I don't know, like something that he'd say of a Looney Tunes episode with the stars over his head and wee piggies floating over his head and stuff like that. And I'm like, you alright? And he was like, oh yeah, oh. And Lewis obviously went into panic mode because Lewis and my dad are very close, and Lewis started panicking and stuff like that. And the player who actually struck the ball was the guy who was coming back from an injury, who was out for 2.5 years. This was his first time being involved in the squad for 2.5 years. And I actually done an interview with him on Welders TV. If you want to go and watch that story, guys, he's been out for 2.5 years. He had a knee replacement. It's a long story. His dad's an Irish League legend, one of the top 10 overall goal scorers in European football history. He's up with the likes of Messi and Ronaldo and stuff like that there. His son, who's now a striker like his dad, Matthew Ferguson, go and check out the interview done with him last week on Welders TV and YouTube, guys. Such a great interview. He's very passionate and very emotional about it. Obviously, talks about his rehabilitation, his recuperation from his operation, his rehab, rebuilding the knee again, obviously coming back. The story is just, it's a brilliant story. Watch the interview. It was a really, really good interview. I love interviewing Matthew. He's a really good kid too. When I say kid, he's 24, 25 maybe I think he is now. But anyway, he's a great lad, just like his dad. And apparently it was him who struck the ball. He came running up to see if the person was okay, and he realised it was my dad. And I says, Matthew, this is my dad, by the way. And Matthew's like, oh my God, are you alright? And Dad just looked up at him and went, instead of saying it's okay, don't worry about it, he just looked at him and went, my dad, this is Matthew Ferguson, Glenn Ferguson's son. And he went, I know your dad really well. It's just the way, he couldn't have timed it any better. And he was like, all right, okay, I'm really sorry at all. But Dad was like, Dad, don't worry about it. So Dad's first official time ever being in the stadium, okay, he was only in the tunnel. I do want to take him up and take him around the whole stadium and show him all the lounges upstairs and, all the new stands and the facilities and stuff like that. I want to show him right around the ground. I actually invited him up to this weekend's game, and I'd love to get him up. But anyway, what an experience for Dad. First time in the new stadium, he gets whacked in the face with a ball. Unbelievable. So he went outside the ground, he got into his car and he sat in the car park for a few minutes to obviously come back round again. The next minute he drove off. So later on that night, I got home from football with Lewis and I gave him a call to check in on him to see if he's alright and stuff. And he wound me up. He was like, I think I've got a black eye, my eyes starting to close and I have a sore head and blah blah blah. And obviously, Dads like me sometimes like a bit of a prank and joke and stuff like that. And obviously I went, Dad, are you sure you're alright and all? Are you alright? No, oh, my eyes going to be shut and all this here, blah blah blah. And anyway, a couple minutes later he turned around and says, I'm only winding you up. He says, I'm alright now. Bit of a sore head, but he says, I took some paracetamol and I'm grand. So what a first experience for Dad ever been in our new stadium. He gets whacked in the face with a ball. I know I'm laughing now, you're probably thinking you're terrible for laughing, but at the end of the day, we laugh at it now, but at the time you didn't laugh at it. But he's grand, he's absolutely cool. There's not an issue with him now. He's 100%. Still mad as a bucket of frogs, but that's just Dad. And if you watch my YouTube channel, you know yourself, Dad's mad. He's just says how it is, no filter. No PG for Dad. Dad's obviously a nightmare to edit. You watch the early vlogs where we have more bad language in the early vlogs, but now obviously I beep them out because of the YouTube restrictions now. The whole PC crap where you can't say and do things, but people getting easily offended. But yeah, Dad can be a nightmare sometimes, especially at Christmas Day when he comes round. He's normally dressed as Santa and he's beeping out language and stuff like that. I know obviously I can't repeat what he says on this family-friendly episode, but Dad's Dad, and he'll never change for anybody. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't expect him to either. But he's grand. He's 100%. He's absolutely fine. So, but it was, it's not funny at the time, but there you go. But that was my Saturday. Unfortunately, we got beat again as well, which was the unfortunate thing, but it's the joys. But moving on, from what I last spoke to you, I mentioned this on the YouTube channel the other day, and I wanted to bring it up on the podcast this week. I'm a an extremely proud dad this week. If you haven't saw the videos, if you probably have, if you're listening to this podcast, if not, you can go and check out the channel. I announced the other day on the channel that Brooke has been given a prefect role at school. That's right, my daughter, my child, yes, me, my daughter, is a prefect. Now, people out there who don't know what a prefect is, it's pretty much a distinction you're given for all your hard work and stuff like that. There, you're put in charge of a certain thing or whatever, and it's an honour, and she's been given, and she's so happy. Oh God, when she came in the other day and she showed me her prefect badge, and God, I couldn't be more prouder of her. You know, back in my day, if you saw a prefect in the school, in my old school, which I showed you a few weeks ago on my channel, I showed you a tour of it. You look like a prison. But back in my day, if you were a prefect, you were called a nerd, a geek, a teacher's pet. You know, look at that nerd there, teacher. That's what the standard was in that school at the time. But now, if you're given the prefect role, it's a completely different thing. Different world, obviously, we're living in now. But when she came in the other day and told me she was a prefect, I just sort of looked at her and went, "Are you actually for real?" And she was like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And then she's also volunteered for all these different things. Like for this Christmas, she's helping out St. Vincent de Paul with food packages for obviously homeless families who are in need. You know, all these different things that she's dipping her toe in the water of. And, you know, the more and more she gets older, the more and more prouder I get of her. You know, it's just phenomenal, the things that she's been doing, especially for this last year or so, guys, with getting her first job and, you know, passing her GCSE exams, and now all these wee things were being bestowed upon her, and I'm just looking at her, and do you know something, I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of sad, because I miss Brooke being that little small girl who used to cuddle her daddy all the time, and wanting to tell her daddy she loves him every day. And okay, she's at the age now where she's 16 coming 17, and she can be a little bit of a grumpy so-and-so. It's teenage hormones and things like that. But over this last year or so, the things she's involved with, like Princess Trust and all the different things that she's involved with, excuse me, it's unbelievable, the things that she's involved with. And then when she came in the other day and told me she's been obviously made a prefect, it was like, wow. I mean, I wouldn't have achieved things like that at school. Okay, I achieved my exam results. Not as many as Brooke has. But again, I mean, I could not be more prouder of her than what she was the other day when she came in. And the amount of messages I received from people was just unreal. I put it out on my own personal Facebook. Well, people who are on my personal Facebook obviously flooded in with their messages, which I appreciate. Put it out in the fan page. Unbelievable. Instagram, the amount of inbox messages I got on Instagram was unreal. Especially from parents. Parents were coming in and saying, you know, oh, I'm sure you're proud of her. Proud's not even a word that I could even, that wouldn't even be a word to describe it, how much I'm proud of her. Just from what we've been through as a family, you know, and what she's been through as a child. You know, she's had to endure a lot, you know, between obviously myself and her mum breaking up, divorced. You know, she doesn't see her mum anymore, which, that's, people keep asking me that question all the time, which I tend not to get into because it's nobody else's business. I've said as much as I can about it, and that's the end of it. She's been through so much, you know. She was getting badly bullied for a long time because of trolls and bullies and all these different things that she's been through. It affected her mental health. You know, she's done all these different things she's been through, and she's come out the other end. And even last year, this time last year, she was struggling at the start of her year at school, and she was saying, like, Dad, you know, I'm struggling with my exams, and the amount of time she's come in here. I even spoke to her teacher about this the day she got her exam results. She came in, and the time over the year where she was coming in, she was crying and upset and angry and frustrated and peed off, and I just kept motivating her and saying, you'll do it. You'll get there. I know you will. You have a good head on your shoulders. Keep pushing. And she kept saying, but I'm not going to get what I want. And like, for example, her maths exam, or GCSE maths, she thought she was actually on 100% fail. And in the space of a few months, she turned that around and turned it into a pass, which got her back into school. Now she's going to reset her maths to improve her grade, which we got that all sorted out last week. But the point is, I just kept motivating her and pushing her and saying to her, you can do this. I know you can. You know what I mean? I always have a motto, right, guys? And I'm not being disrespectful towards my parents, because when I was growing up, we didn't have very much. It was a different generation. I grew up as an 80s child, a 90s child, etc. Sorry, 1 second. I've still got that sort of wee tickle at the back of my throat still from that cold last week. I'm sure you can probably hear it in my voice. But anyway, yes, and I always remember sitting thinking when I was like 16, 17, if I ever have kids, I'm going to give my kids what I never had as a kid. Because my dad was the only one that worked. My dad worked around the clock to pay the rent and pay all the bills and look after mum, look after me. And then when Tony came along, we didn't have very much. And anything I ever had, I always appreciated it. And I always tried to drill that into my children. No matter what it is, whether you have nothing or you have something at all, appreciate everything you have, because if you don't, it'll just trickle on down to your children and whatever. You have to appreciate things that you have. I always try to put that into my kids and make them thankful for everything that they have and make them work that little bit harder. Because I know there's a lot of parents out there who, especially in this generation, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, because I'm honest on this podcast. There's parents out there who just literally send their kids off to school to get their head showered. They come back home, do your homework, little Jimmy or whatever, and then just stick them on a phone or stick them on a computer console, and just, that's it. Then the kids grow up, leave school, no education, not knowing any better, and then they go out and have kids and do the same thing. And I've seen that happen many a time. But with me, it was always like, homework's need to be, you probably think I'm some type of old school drill sergeant. Listen, at the end of the day, I've always taught my kids their education is number one. Their education is what creates their future. Simple as. In my generation, my dad was never hardly home because he was always away working. And with mum struggled. So we had to do our homeworks ourselves. My mum was doing all our things around the house and stuff like that on her own. Different generation now. I've had this debate with my mum for years. Over this, for years. And I always say to myself, I'd give my kids more than what I ever had. I would try and push them that wee bit harder to try and get them to achieve their goals. And so far, I feel, now a lot of people tell me this all the time, and I get sick and tired of it. At the start, it was kind of like, okay, fair enough, but then towards the end, you get fed up hearing the same old story. The last 9.5 years, I've brought up Brooke and Lewis by myself. Okay, I've had a couple of relationships in between that with the likes of, I was with Andrea for a couple of years, and then recently with Sandra. But I brought them up myself. And at the very start, it was kind of like, well, you don't really see that often, a guy bringing up his kids on his own and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks for the kind words, appreciate it. But guys, here's the thing. No matter why I was still with their mum or whatever, no matter what, when you have a kid, from the time they're first born, right, that's your responsibility. That is your main goal of life, is to bring up your child and be there for your child and look after your child, and your child is number one no matter what. It's as simple as that. Your kid is number one regardless. End of. In my eyes, it is. A lot of people out there who have kids and go, oh yeah, I'll just pass the child on and go out partying all the time, or people walk away from their kids, or once a person finds out the girl's pregnant, the bugger off, or whatever it is, whatever the situation is. My goal always was, no matter what it was, they came first, whatever. Now that they're older, I can start getting my life back a little bit more. Because Brooke's at the age now where she can do a bit of babysitting. Which is Okay, for me to go out for 3 or 4 hours with Tony, have a beer with Tony. Say no more about that. That's saved for the Unleashed podcast. But even so, I always said from the day they were born, I'm going to be there. I'm going to work hard for them. I'm going to teach them, be respectful to their elders, work hard, and aim for their goals, because I wasn't given that opportunity as a kid myself, because the world was a different place. Now there's so many opportunities out there for kids, and I always try and expose that to the kids and say, look, listen here, if you want to do this, you do that. Like, for example, with Brooke at the minute, she wants to work with children. She's back at school. She wants to work with kids. And you know yourself, guys, if you have kids out there, when you have a child at a small age, they go, I want to be a policeman. I want to be a fireman. I want to be, a builder. I want to be an electrician. I want to build airplanes. I want to, whatever. I want to be an air hostess. Whatever you want to do. And you sort of go, okay, great, grand. But Brooke has always, now this is what baffles me about her, and this is what makes me more proud about her as well, going back to her being named as a prefect. She's always said to me since she was a kid, she either wanted to be a nurse, or she wanted to look after kids. And I thought, okay. And still to this day, even this morning, when they're leaving for school this morning, she's always been there for Lewis. Make sure his hair is fixed right. Your tie's not straight, Lewis. Fix your shoe. Like a wee mother figure to him. Even when they were in primary school, their principal, I remember the conversation I had with the principal one time. Your Brooke looks after Lewis like it's their own child. And I went, oh no. Even when she was a wee tote playing with her babies, how careful she was with babies and all. And maybe we girls have babies, dolls and stuff like that to talk to them and stuff like that. Brooke was always really, caring, and we girls just throw their dolls about and go, oh yeah, whatever. But Brooke wasn't like that. And from about the age of maybe, 4, Daddy, I want to be a nurse to help sick people, or I want to look after children. And now she'll be 17 here next month, and she's still trying to pursue that dream of looking after children. And the funny thing about it is, and this actually made me sort of like even more prouder. She came in the other day and she goes, Dad, speaking to the school the other day, I'm making a few phone calls about placements for a week's placement for looking after children. And I thought, well, obviously you're doing your childcare at Tech 2 days, like your Tech college, and then obviously you're doing all the rest of your stuff in school as well. So she's doing this, guys. And this is what she's doing, she's balancing this all out between her job, her social life with her friends, her boyfriend. She's working in a job a couple of days a week. She's doing her school. She's going to college as well. She's doing all these different things. She's coming to me all day and she goes, Dad, I've got a placement for a week. And I went, awesome. Happy days. Where is it? Her old primary school. The primary school where I used to have the conversation with her principal and say about how current she was towards our kids and about her brother and things like that. There, I'd just go in there for a week, and when she spoke to the principal on the phone, he was like, "Oh God, Brooke's coming back. Oh, here we go." So yeah, it's like a full circle. You know what I mean? And that's what makes me proud of her, because I feel that I've done my job to a degree correctly, where I don't look for praise when people come to me and go, oh, you're doing a great job as a single dad and all. I don't want that praise. Guys, even if I was still married to their mum today, I'd still be there all the time. It's a responsibility. And that's where a lot of young parents nowadays don't do that, and that really annoys me. People walk away too easily. When you've got a child, you have to dedicate to that child. Okay, you have your own life, that's fine. You've got your own personal bits away from the kids and stuff like that. Because I see a lot of people out there who don't do that, and all different scenarios. In my experience in the last lot of years, different people I've met over the years, like for example, letting their kids control their life. They don't have a life because their kids are the boss. As the old saying goes, they rule the roost. No, I'm sorry. No kid rules the roost. The parents are the ones in charge. I always remember a funny story. Whenever Brooke's mum was pregnant with her, and the midwife was coming out for the first time to obviously check the heartbeat and blah, 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 blah. And I was always taught, growing up myself, Always make sure the child knows that you're the boss of the house. You're the one that rules the roost. You're the one in charge. And I always remember their mum going, that's an old wives' tale, blah, blah, blah. Midwife came in that day, done the thing in the heartbeat. But by the way, I still have the recording of this day on a hard drive of Brooke's heartbeat. That's really strange, but I still have that. Not a video, an actual audio recording of her heartbeat. And she even turned around to her that day and she went, I always tell this to all young mums and dads. Baby needs to understand from the start, you are the one in charge, not them. Routine is obviously a key factor, which I've always believed in as well. Routine, like for bedtimes and, homeworks and bringing them up properly and teaching them right from wrong and all that there. And that was one of the things she always mentioned. You're the boss. You're the one who rules the roost. But I see a lot of people out there whose kids run the house. Rule the roost. Do what they want. Cheeky wee so-and-sos. And again, who do you blame? Do you blame the child? Depending on what the circumstances are. Some parents are too soft, blah, 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 blah. But in my case, I'm firm but fair. I've always taught my two, respect your elders, please and thank you, work hard, and you'll always get, hard work pays off. And going back to now, Brooke's obviously paid off because now she's a prefect, she's pursuing her goal, and I sit back at that and go, have I done my job correctly? There's sometimes I've had to be hard on them, like ground them and take things off them and, punish them for being wee shits. I know I shouldn't swear in this one, but that's just being honest. Because they all have their moments growing up. Especially when they get to teenagers. Hormones and mood swings and grumpy moods and the whole, oh, I hate you, daddy, I don't like you no more, you're being... we all go through it. I done it as well as a kid, we all done it. But the fact that culminates now into full circle where she's coming in now and she's telling me all these achievements, she's getting something that I would have never achieved. And as a family, we're all proud of her too as well, especially mum and dad as well. They couldn't believe it when I told them. They were like, whoa, really? I'm like, yep. Brooke's going to be a prefect. Unbelievable. But I couldn't be more proud of her, guys, and I've probably babbled on a bit here too much, but at the end of the day, I'm proud of her, and I couldn't be any more proud of her, and she's just a wee star, and everybody I know that knows her can't say a bad word about her. Now, she has had her moments where people have said, she's been a wee bit of a bitch or whatever, or just doing things like that, and they all have their moments. And don't get me wrong, me and her haven't had the perfect relationship. We've had our arguments over the years, we've had our fallouts. All parents have arguments with their kids, disagreements, whatever. But now at the moment recently where she's older now and she's doing her own thing, and I look at her and I sort of go, yeah, I'm proud of her. Like, she's my daughter and I'm really, really proud of her, and I couldn't ask for any more of her. And I'm actually excited to see where she goes from this. She wants to work in a school with kids. She wants to help kids. And I can't wait to see the day she goes back to her old primary school. I'd love to see the principal's face when she turns up again. He'll look at her and go, oh my God, Brooke, what happened to you? You've grew up even more. It's just, wow. And then Lewis will be trickling up soon as well to do all these different things what he wants to do when he's older. He wants to work with computers, and he's a bit like me. He loves all his gadgets and stuff like that there. So, but he's good with numbers and he's switched on, and I think I told you before, guys, on the podcast, Lewis has ADHD, and I've always asked a specialist when it comes to numbers and certain things, would that be part of his condition where he switched on and blah, blah, blah. He goes, probably, yeah, that's probably what it is. So, but again, a lot of people don't know that. And again, that's another discussion for another day about people's having kids with issues like autism and ADHD and stuff like that there. I could talk about that all day because there's certain scenarios where situations that I've saw where people use it as a tool to gain things, and just, it's a nightmare. But with Lewis, he just gets on with it, takes it in a stride. He has had his moments, but again, if you watch the videos, you've met him in person, you know what he's like. He's just a normal little boy. But in closing about Brooke, yes guys, proud week here in the Moore household, very proud week of Brooke, and I couldn't ask for any more. She's just, wow. She's just an absolute wee diamond, and I'm looking forward to see where her future goes for her in the future, because she can achieve more, and I know she can, but she just needs to keep her head down. Stop being such a chatterbox sometimes, because her teachers have said that too. She can be a wee bit loud at times as well, but everybody who knows her, and she's got a heart of gold, and I couldn't be any more proud of her. Right, well, before I go on talking a bit more, guys, just a quick reminder again, once again, if you're listening to the Mirror Army podcast for the first time today, do not forget to check out the Mirror Army website, mirrorarmy.co.uk, for all your videos of the channel, social media posts, merchandise, and more. So that's mirrorarmy.co.uk. Also check us out on Facebook, Mirror Army YouTube channel, and if you want to contact me on Instagram, official Matthew Mirror on Instagram as well. Right, guys, let's get on to the next subject of today's podcast. I just had to push pause there for a wee second. I had to go into get my lovely trendy, should I say, stainless steel Liverpool water drink canister thing I have. 1 second. Swig of water for the working man. I had to go get some water there, guys, because I said to you 2 weeks ago I had that cold. And the cold itself's away, but it's just a wee tickly cough still. It's been bothering me for over a week now. It's just really, 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 really annoying. Just can't seem to tickle it away. And before people ask, no, it's not COVID. I'm fine. Trust me. My friend Chris and his wife, who you saw on Brooke's birthday vlog last year, they tested positive for COVID last week. Apparently they're grand. So I was talking to Chris this morning. So big shout out to Chris and Laura. I'll be catching up with Chris very, very soon, actually. I want to see if he'd actually be interested in coming onto the podcast and talk about some of our stories from the younger days, should we say. Now, here's the thing, guys. Before going to the next subject I want to talk about, in Bangor here, in Bangor, Northern Ireland, there used to be a courthouse in Bangor. It's obviously used to be called Bangor Courthouse, of course. It closed a long time ago, but they've renovated it into like a sort of entertainment venue. And Open House Festival here in Northern Ireland are holding a long list of events coming up soon. And I've contacted them to see if I could possibly get down for some interviews with the talent, whether it be a comedian or a singer or a group. Because I'm going to try and, as I said at the very start of these podcasts, I'm trying to bring in more different things. I want to try and promote local businesses and stuff like that. So what I'm going to hear later on today to the shopping centre across the road to see if I can possibly speak to businesses and stuff like that there about different things for Thursday's podcast, which is where we're going to talk about the cost of living crisis, whether it be your fuel, your gas, fuel in your cars, gas, electricity, food prices. I want to specifically talk to shops because of see how it's affecting them, and that's why I want to go into some of the businesses and have a wee chat with them and stuff like that. So here's hoping I can get some interviews today for Thursday's podcast, because a lot of you have been in touch with me and I want to talk about it on Thursday. Plus, with it being on Thursday's podcast, we can basically say what we want. Obviously not extreme, but to the T. But anyway, yes, hopefully today I'm going to get some interviews, or even tomorrow, fingers crossed. So that was the plan for Thursday's podcast, and I was speaking to that place as well. I'm going to speak to all the local pubs and restaurants and businesses as well to try and get more people involved in the podcast, especially locally, how the world's affecting them, all different things. So we shall see how it goes from there. But anyway, the next thing I want to talk about, guys, I'm actually kind of celebrating this week. Well, not celebrating, more reflecting, so to say, on 12 years, guys, I've been working in the Irish League. I just can't believe it. 12 long years I've been working in the Irish League. Started in October, on a cold October day, where I filmed my very first match for Bangor Football Club against Banbridge Town. And over the last 12 years, guys, I have had such a story. Now, I know a lot of people that are listening to this here don't like football, but this is not just about football. This is a story I want to talk about my journey. Now, as you all probably know, I've talked about this before, I was involved with professional wrestling here in Northern Ireland for 5 years. I had just finished it in the March. and I had nothing to do. So I was going down to the bank one day here in Bangor to put money into the bank, and there was a guy who worked behind there who was a photographer at Bangor Football Club, and he knew me from the wrestling days. He recognised me and stuff like that there, and said he was looking for a cameraman. And I said to him, "Well, I've got thousands and thousands of pounds with equipment lying in my house." He goes, "Let me go and speak to the club and see if we can get you in." So I thought, right, okay. Following week, I'm back down to the bank again, and he turned around and says, "Yep, bring your gear to the match on Saturday." So I turned up that Saturday, and I've been involved in the Irish League ever since. Like, what a journey. Sorry we had screwing noise of me taking the lid off my bottle of water here. Such a trendy thing here. As being a member of Liverpool Football Club, they send you all these wee gifts every year, and this one here is actually quite trendy. I must actually post a photograph of it on Instagram and show you. And it holds the water really, really cold, which is beautiful. But yeah, guys, 12 years I've been at this game. What a roller coaster of a ride of emotions. Joy, anger, frustration, cold days, warm days, meeting new people, making friends, being part of winning teams, winning trophies, moving clubs. Just wow, what a journey. What a journey it has been. As you probably know from my recent vlogs, I currently help out with Harlem Welders in relation to their media. I also help out with a couple of sort of other teams over the water with their social media graphics and stuff like that there too as well. But it's just what a ride it's been, But one thing I've never ever done in my whole journey in the Irish League, it was a goal of mine for the last 7 years, maybe 8 years. I've always said to myself, at the start, it was like, okay, I'm getting my foot in the door. I'll accept where I am right now. I'll be, humble. I'll put my name out there. I'll work hard, and I'll try and learn my craft as it goes along. Because I've always had a passion for making videos, guys. Even when I was a kid, I used to make wrestling videos off TV, and even before YouTube came around where people were putting computer game videos online, I used to make computer game videos on the old VHS tapes, DVDs, and things like that. Tony's even said to me for years, "Bro, you used to make videos years ago when we were kids, even before YouTube even came around," and things like that. And I'm like, I know. But I always stayed humble, thankful, grateful for the opportunity. But one thing that always started to tickle in my brain was there were people coming along. I know it's the same in every role in life. People come along on a job and they get promoted before you do or whatever, and you're there a lot longer than what they are, and they get promoted, and it really cheeses you off. My main goal in this sort of trade of where I am with one of my jobs in the Irish League, I've always wanted to work in the Premier League. And people always come to me and say to me, "Why the hell are you not working in the Premier League? Why aren't you at a Premiership club?" Now, don't get me wrong, I had opportunities to go to a couple of big clubs in the Premier League when I was at Bangor days, but I decided to stay at Bangor because Bangor were pushing for promotion at the time and almost got there in 2015, but unfortunately they lost the playoff final against Warren Point. But my goal, for me personally, is to work in the Premier League. Who doesn't want to work in the Premier League? Big crowds, TV exposure, your name gets out there more, not disrespecting the Championship where I'm at the minute with the Welders or nothing like that. I'm not disrespecting the Welders in any way, shape or form. But the point is, as a videographer, press officer, media officer, online presenter, whatever it is you do, your main goal is to go to the highest level of that line of work, and that's the Premier League. Would I ever I've obviously been offered opportunity to jump to the Premier League? Will I ever get there one day? I hope so. So I got water again for the working man. My goal would be to work in the Premier League. And hopefully it happens soon, because that's the marquee of Irish League football, is the Premier League. And a lot of players I've met over the years who I became good friends with have all said to me, Matty, why are you not working in the Premier League, mate? Why are you still in the Championship? Or, a lot of years ago before I left Bangor, the league below that. Why are you not working in the Premier League with all the stuff that you do? And I sort of go, well, you know something? I like to stay loyal to a club. Now, I was at Bangor for, 7 years or something like that. And unfortunately, I was put in the position where I had to leave the club. And I'm going to be honest with you, because of the board and because of the fan base, I felt being unappreciative for the work that I'd done for the club. And I really haven't really spoke much about this on my YouTube channel, but I felt that I was giving them a lot, and all I was getting in return was negativity. People being ungrateful. People trying to change me. People trying to run me down. Certain fan base of the club targeting me abusively, where I had to bite my tongue on multiple occasions. Where there was many a week where I felt like get up into the stand and wrapping my tripod and my camera around some people's heads because it got that personal. When you're put in that position where you feel like you're being unappreciative, it's the same as any role, whatever job you're in, and you keep bashing your head against the wall, no matter what you do for them, you're appreciated. The old board that come in there at the time, they appreciated what I'd done, but then obviously a change of the reins at the club, and certain individuals just didn't want me there. And I'll be honest with you, but probably because of who I am as a person, and that's me just being totally honest. From the impression I was getting from people who, I've spoke about this podcast before, people who I kind of don't like. I'm not being stereotypical, I'm just being totally honest with you. Those type of people who just didn't want me there because I didn't fit in with a certain group of people, and being made out to be stupid on multiple occasions, which people will say, oh, hardly. Yeah, it happened. So when you're in a position there where you feel like you're working your ass off and getting nothing for it, and you know you can be somewhere else better, and you stay there in that job to be loyal to a certain club where you've been offered big options to go elsewhere, and you say no and no and no, and then when it gets to the point where the final straw breaks the camel's back, and you sort of go, right, no, game over, I've had enough, and you leave. And at that point, guys, I thought my job and my time in the Irish League was over, and then I got a phone call from Harnwood Builders. Come work for us. You're in charge. Nobody on your back shouting at you and complaining. Our fan base will not be on your back. Clean slate. You do what you do. You work away. And I thought about it. I told him to think about it. And then a couple of weeks after, I met with them. The two gentlemen who I now consider friends, especially one particular one, who has now been recently named an MBE, Mr. Fred McGee, who is an absolute gentleman of Irish League football. He retired after 50 years. The guy is an absolute stalwart of Irish League football. The guy is a walking encyclopedia. And to go to the club where he is at, okay, people were saying at the time, oh, you're taking a step down. You're going from one club that's got a good stadium and blah, 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 and you're going to a ground that's like crap. And don't get me wrong, at the time the Welders ground was rubbish. There was just one wee small stand. The pitch was the worst pitch in the country. And they sold the opportunity to me to go there, saying we're going to build a new stadium. Our goal is to be in the Premier League, etc., etc. And I thought, okay, we'll see how it goes. So the first couple of years was great there, and then obviously COVID had hit, so there was no football season for a year. But where I am now, I go to games on Saturday happy, and compared to what it was like towards the end of my days at my previous club, where it was kind of like, no matter what you done, you put a highlight video out, they were nitpicking and complaining. If they got beat, they were coming on Twitter, the mental trolls as I call them, coming on slobbering at me, blaming me for, you're giving away too much tactics, you're giving away too much information. It's a highlight video of a game. The arguments I had with fans over social media was ridiculous, and then the fact that they were targeting me personally my private life, and someone will still deny it to this day, but I still have multiple screenshots to prove it. And to go from that into somewhere, like the first day I walked into the Welders, okay, stadium-wise it was a downgrade, but club-wise, my God, the first day I walked in, I couldn't, wow, the welcome I got was unreal. And still to this day, and now the club has given my son an opportunity to be a photographer. Like I put in my social media post today, 12 years of a journey, up and down the road, travelling up and down the roads is a normal one too as well, guys. The amount of miles we put in our bodies over the last 12 years is unreal. And then I mentioned Lewis, saying, Lewis is now coming into the media section of the Irish League, where, again, another proud dad moment, where Lewis is now taking his photographs every week, and his photographs are splashed all over the Northern Ireland Football League website every Saturday night, and it's just phenomenal. That club turned, it's like, remember the Wizard of Oz movie? The part where they're in black and white, and the door opens and it goes into colour? That's what it was like. Leaving a black and white, get into a full, oh my God, it's colour? Whoa. And don't get me wrong, I'll always be thankful for my previous club for giving me the opportunity to get my foot in the door. And I'll always thank the club for that. But when you're going there every week, and because you don't fit the narrative of a certain cliques in the stand or on the pitch or whatever, and you feel like you're being, the microscope's constantly on you, and how sad it was the fact that people were coming out and, say for example you put a match report out on Saturday night, and some balloon head sitting in his office, who I know who he was, on a Monday morning, and sits there in his wee office and goes, oh, you forgot to put a comma there, or a wee dot at the top of your I, or a full stop at the end of that sentence, a capital letter for this, a capital letter for that, making me out to be some thick, stupid person. And then it got to the point where towards the end, the final nail in the coffin was where oh, will you type a match report up, send it to this person so he can spell check it for you? And then I'm like, do you think I'm friggin' stupid or something? What the hell? Seriously? Or don't adjust it this way, do it that way, and don't do this. And I'm going, are you actually for real? They were micromanaging everything I was doing. And then when there was ones there that sort of drove the old board out, and this new board came in, and to be told to my face that everything I'd done for all those years were irrelevant. The most watched YouTube football channel in Northern Ireland, thousands of views on their website on a daily basis. Their Facebook page was getting multiple hits. I also went on to the committee of the social club, which, by the way, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, which was completely dead every weekend. When I took over advertising and social media average for the social club, every Friday night, Saturday night and Sunday for the Super Sunday football in the social club, packed out, full bar every week. All big live events were advertised, the likes of boxing events being shown, big football matches, all advertised correctly, and the place was sold out. Any live music entertainment advertised correctly, put out, multiple tickets sold out. Not blowing my own trumpet here, but it was being done correctly. And for those guys to turn around to me and say, everything you've done's irrelevant, and we want to go back to the way it was before you came to the club, simple. And I'm going, are you serious? The guy before me done a website that was done from dial-up 1995, and also when he filmed matches, he was too busy standing talking to the guy beside him with his dog. I was giving you a professional TV service, a website that was getting thousands of hits a week, the number one watch for views at the time YouTube football channel in Northern Ireland, where I was standing every week, rain, sleet and shine, dressed up with a microphone, presenting, talking about the news, telling you what's going on in the club, any events, interviewing managers, players. Then to add addition to that, I was going to the training ground on a Thursday night, doing inside training videos, which by the way was wrong in the fans' eyes, certain supporters groups. But I had an agreement with management and the board that I would never show set pieces or tactics, just stuff that you see on the likes of the Premiership clubs in England, the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, little training ground stuff like, say, a boy falls on his backside. It's a joke, it's a laugh. bit of messing around, and obviously, say they're playing a game of training or something like that, or just general banter, going down the Thursday night, filming that, interviewing a player and a manager, building up the game for Saturday, getting more eyeballs on the product, and to be told, oh, I'm sorry, everything you're doing is irrelevant to the club. That was the final nail in the coffin. Plus the fact, and I'll be totally honest with you, a lot of them in that sort of group still to this day actually run the club to a certain degree, but also think they are the club and they think everything about the club. I don't want to be involved in that negativity. I didn't want to be involved in that group of people because I didn't fit their narrative because of who I was, a standard working class guy from a housing estate who was looked down upon by a bunch of lefty, snowflake, grammar educated, snooty snobs who thought they were better than me. And that's my opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's fine, but that's the opinion I was getting from them. And the fact that they were trying to micromanage me and tell me what to do, to a degree where it was like, I don't even need to be here. I'm doing this as voluntarily. And you're nitpicking everything I do. You're making me out to be stupid. You think I'm thick. Even when you know how bad it was, guys. There was times I was coming across the pitch. Now, I know I'm not a thin guy. I'm quite a big lad. At the time, I was going through a bad patch where mental health wasn't good. I was going through a divorce. I wasn't seeing Brooke and Lewis very much at the time. My head was basically up my backside. And there was times I was coming across the pitch and these scumbags in the crowd were going, boing, boing, boing. Like calling me a fat boy and stuff like that and laughing. Certain things like that. And at the time my mental health wasn't great. And these people were mocking me. And then on a Saturday night they were coming on to Twitter and going, make sure you do this in your video, make sure you do. Just general wee scumbags. And as far as I'm aware, they're still going to the matches to these days. But, sorry, another swig of water for the workman. In my opinion, a lot of people who sat in those stands shouldn't have been even allowed to go to games, because I know for a fact from speaking to local people in the area of where we live and people who I know personally were driven away by those supporters groups and stuff like that because they didn't want to bring their kids to the games because of the negativity and all the negativity around the club. Now, the situation the club's in right now, okay, they're back. They were relegated from the Irish League and then they're come back into the Irish League again. But my experience towards the end was horrible, and I bit my tongue so much that it got to the point for the last year or two I was ready to explode and lose my temper with them, but I didn't want to damage my reputation and damage my name because I was trying to get my name out there as a videographer, as a media guy, and that's why I bit my tongue. But now, if I ever saw them, they'd be told straight, on your bike, who do you think you're talking to, blah, 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 blah. But to be told, guys, after all that hard work, that I was irrelevant to the club and I should be going back to the way it was before I came to the club, basically like the dial-up era, which was absolutely ridiculous. But that's the type of club it is. And don't get me wrong, I'll be the first to tell anybody, I appreciate everything that was done for me there. And I appreciate the opportunity I was given when I arrived there. But to be there around those type of pure, rotten, negative people was not for me. And that was the part of my journey, guys, that so far has been a bad part of my journey. Don't get me wrong now, at that club we had success, we won trophies and almost got to the Premier League and had such great times. Still have a lot of good friends down there to this day, but I wouldn't be around that group of people because I've said before, guys, on this podcast and my vlog as well, I don't associate myself with negative people. Any type of negative people, you're gone. You want to bring negativity to my home, to me personally, whatever, you're out of my life. End off. If you're on social media giving me negativity, constant negativity, you're blocked. Instantly. Gone. Same as trolls. You come in with an, your foot, bye-bye, see ya. Out of my life, gone. I've even blocked people who are in my own family I wouldn't talk to. Because, guys, life's for living, and I spent most of my life around negativity, and I'm not doing it no more. But where I am now in my journey, in my football journey, is great, because, I'm working. I have the privilege of working in a brand new football stadium, £7 million football stadium, every other week. I've made more good friends out of football, at the Welders, and my football journey right now is great because I have Lewis on that. Lewis is beginning his football journey with me, and he travels up and down the roads with me. He was even coming to games with me even when he was small. But now, Lewis comes to football with me on a Saturday and whatever else, and we have so many great memories on the road. Different clubs, all the different people we've met over the years, different managers, players, different personalities. Everybody always says about supporting your own local game. Okay, yes, I go to Liverpool matches and stuff like that there, but I do support the local game as well. But, the memories that me and Lewis have created so far is just unreal, and it's memories that'll last a lifetime. And where I am in my football journey at the minute, it's great. It's just such a privilege to get up. And I mean, there's tonight, for example. Lewis and I are heading off to football tonight to training, because Lewis is to go and see a guy about stuff for his new camera. And I'm going to obviously try and get a couple of interviews for previewing the match for Saturday coming up. Our players come back from injury, so we want to try and get a wee interview with him tonight as well. All these different things, guys, that, it's such a privilege to be involved in, but then you do get to obviously your bad moments like I just talked about. But when I turn up at that ground on a Saturday night, I don't get that feeling from people that are looking down their nose at me now. Obviously, there's a couple of players and stuff like that there who come and go, and you think that, I've met a load of players like this over the years who just think they're God's gift and they're great and all that. There are people like I to stay away from, and people like I to stay away from. But 99.9% of the time when I go there on a Saturday, we're always welcomed. We're chatted away to. We have a laugh with people, players and all too as well. And the fan base love everything that we do. Whether we get beat or win or whatever, the fan base come up to me and say, last week's highlights video I watched and all, or I watched your interview with such and such, it was good and all. Compared to getting all that negativity where it was like, highlights, he shouldn't have showed that, and he shouldn't have done this, and he shouldn't have done that. My opinion, the previous club I was at, there's a lot of people out there who are still stuck in the past and still think it's 1984. And that's just my opinion on it all. But that's a part of my career where I try and put to the back of my mind. But where I am right now, 12 years in, up and down the road, just touched on there a minute ago, the miles in the body, my God. The trips that we make every year, the likes of Castledurg, Enniskillen, Ballinamallard, Fermanagh, where else? Up and down to Belfast all the time. Where else have we been to? My good God. Coke. We've been to so many grounds, guys, over the years. Warren Point, Newry, right on the border of a thing. The furthest one I've ever been away to was Stranraer with Bangor. We played them in a pre-season friendly. And so many great memories. So many great memories. Cup finals, big games, beating Premiership sides, so many great memories over the years, and so many great players I've seen playing personal. And here's the thing, right? And closing this subject, I've just realised I've been talking for an hour. Growing up watching Irish League football, all these players that you used to see yourself on TV, great players, guys, really great players over the years. And you get to know them personally because you work in that field now, which is amazing. This water's so cold, it's so good. Oh dear, today's podcast is brought to you by water. Like Matthew was talking about earlier on, Matthew Ferguson, his dad Glenn Ferguson, I used to remember watching him when I was a wee boy, and now Glenn knows me by first name, knows my wee lad. Glenn's, I think he's number 6 or 7 in the all-time highest goal scorers in European football. It could be higher, actually. He's up there with the likes of Messi and Ronaldo and all them boys, and he walks into our ground and goes, "Hey Matthew, how's it going?" And I'm going, "God, I used to love watching you when I was a kid." And all these ex-players who you made over the years. And it's just a privilege. And the access that we get is phenomenal. We get to record our Irish League football series, all our vlogs, all these different things that we've done. And again, it's just an absolute privilege and honour to be involved in. Now, a lot of the people that are probably listening don't like football, but I just wanted to share this story with you today. 12 years have just gone by just like that. From that first game till now, it's just went boom, gone. Just the flashback. I could talk about it all day on the different ones. Who's been my favourite player I've ever filmed or watched or interviewed or whatever. Legends I've interviewed, people I've spoken to, events I've been to, end of season dues. They've been so much fun. And one thing I've never done though is, and I've been asked to go this year, I've never been to an end of season away trip with the boys, like we'll all go away on holiday or something like that there. I've never been invited to go to any of them things, but our under 21 squad and all their management have invited me to go to their one this year in May to Benidorm for 3 days. That's going to be fun. That is going to be a crazy one. Now, the first team I'll probably get invited this year, maybe. But to spend 3 days in the sun with boys, God, that's going to be that'll be some vlogs out there, boy. Woo! Yeah, 3 days in Benidorm. I wouldn't even want to imagine what it was going to be like. But yeah, and people always ask me, you should be given more recognition for your work in the Irish League and stuff like that. I don't ask for recognition. All I ask for is I enjoyed that video you put out, or enjoyed that interview, or enjoyed that match report you put up, or the photographs that your son took are great. You know what I mean? That's all I ever ask for. Everybody always says to me, at the end of the season awards and all, you don't get awards for your work throughout the year, or you've never been nominated for any awards for like helping out or whatever. And I'm like, I don't expect it. I don't want it. Well, not that I don't want it. Don't get me wrong. Somebody wants to hand me an award for work. I'm not going to say no. But at the end of the day, I'm just doing my bit for Irish League football. And whether it be turn up on a Saturday and do that, then so be it. But again, would I love to be in the Premier League? You better believe it. But again, if the opportunity arose tomorrow to go to the Premier League, would it go right now? Would I be ready for the Premier League with my experience? Probably. But at the end of the day, I'm happy where I am right now, and hopefully one day I will be fulfilling that dream of working in the Premier League and going to the big grounds, the likes of obviously been to the grounds over the years for cup matches and pre-season friendlies and all, but going there regularly, the likes of the Coleraines, the Ballymeenas, the Crusaders, the Cliftonvilles, the Coleraine, the Glentorns, Windsor Park, Linfield, Glenavon, speaking of Glenavon, that's one. I have been to every single ground you could think of in this country, and one ground I've never been to is Glenavon. Mournview Park in Lurgan, never been to the ground in my life. That's another one thing on the bucket list. But yeah, guys, it's been a journey and a half, and there's many more to come, especially the away trips, all the bus journeys, all the miles and miles of 200-mile trips, round trips, and the 250-mile round trips, the boat trips, oh wow, it's football, and I love football, and it's as simple as that. I love football, and that's just the way it'll never change until the day I go to my grave. So, but 12 years have just went by so quick, and here's to the next 12 years, hopefully, and Lewis will be on that journey with me as well. Fingers crossed he's still there, and yeah, me and Lewis have a lot of miles to travel still. We've got a lot more games to come, and it's going to be a fun and exciting time. And now I've got my sidekick with me, Lewis, makes the journey more better. So it does. So for anybody who's listening, who I've met, who I've known, who I've worked with, who I've interviewed, who I have whatever it is I've been involved with, thank you. Good or bad, but at the end of the day, where I am right now is I love my football. I love going out on Saturday morning, the buzz of a Saturday morning where you get up and you get your shower and you shave and you get your gear together, you make sure your camera's ready to go, your microphones and all that there is ready to rock and roll, and you head down that road. Love it. Can't beat it. It's a great feeling. Absolutely love it. But guys, that is going to bring us to the end. Oh, before I do go today, I need to answer some of your questions. It was a promise about to go there and thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing here, Matthew? You haven't even answered any of their questions. Sorry about rambling on a little bit there today, guys, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to share my story with you. Okay, got a wee message here I want to read out from Facebook. Let's have a look here and see. It's from Kieran Gilmartin. Says here, question for your podcast. You all love sport, but you never mention GAA or hurling? Do any of you three follow it? Now, GAA and hurling, have I ever watched it? I've never watched hurling as much. GAA I've watched a little bit over the years. Am I a fan of it? No. Do I support a team? No. I have friends who follow it. I have friends who are passionate about GAA. They absolutely, and anybody out there who doesn't know what GAA is, it's Gaelic football here in Ireland, or Northern Ireland, or wherever it is. All of Ireland, it's an Irish sport. It's an interesting one for me, because if it's ever on and there's nothing on TV, I'll probably watch it for a couple of minutes and go, okay, cool. But I know people who are passionate about GAA, who love GAA. So they do. Absolutely adore it. And to answer your question, no, I don't. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of it. Now, one thing I would do in relation to Irish sport over the border, up until COVID, I used to go down to the FAI Cup final every year at the Aviva Stadium. Football, I used to take Brooke and Lewis down all the time. We're actually considering going this year again. But to answer your question, hurling's a sport, I'll be honest with you. I tried to watch it once and I just couldn't get into it. I wouldn't like to be hit with that ball they use, the wee small ball with a stick, the hurling stick. That would sting, especially on a cold day. But again, to answer your question, no, I've never, ever, ever been a fan of it. I mean, not saying it's not a good sport, but I've tried to watch GA a couple of times, and it's an interesting sport. Don't get me wrong, I've watched it over the years quite a few times, but I'm not a follower of it, so I hope that clears it up and answers your question for you. Okay, I found the email. This is about the TV license thing I was talking about last week on Thursday's podcast. This is from a guy called John, with two N's, it looks like, two N's, John, unless he's wrote it wrong. He sent me an email there during the week, just says, well, big fan of the podcast, Matthew. In relation to TV license, the TV license inspectors are complete and utter, should I say this, scumbags? I've had them at my parents' and grandmother's door. It has been going on for about 2 years, yet we only use Disney Plus, Netflix and YouTube. He kept bringing up all the BS where he kept saying that you have to have a license to watch those services. It's all about getting commission with them, which I've heard that's actually I heard that's a true story about commission. And they're always trying to come into the house. When they start that crap, I simply close the door in their face and tell them where to go. I don't want to say pee off, like, because obviously this is the clean version of the podcast. And he also says, is there any, he wrote on the end of the email saying, one more question, is there any 3XL or 4XL the merchandise? Relating to the merchandise, yes, I want to ask people about that, because I've had a lot of people asking for that. So yes, bear with me on that. But as we talked about on the TV license last week, guys, yes, you know, if you're watching Netflix, YouTube or Amazon, as long as it's not live TV on Amazon, sometimes the Premier League football and all shown on live on the Amazon, you don't have to have a TV license. Simple as. If you don't use BBC iPlayer, you don't watch BBC, you don't have to have a TV license. It's stated in black and white on the website. Simple as. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, I've heard the story that they're constantly harassing the older generation. You know, saying, you must have a TV license, or you know, I saw a thing on the news the other night there. I was flicking through the channels and came across this guy in the news talking and saying, you know, they're just trying to fearmonger people, you know, or you could go to jail for not having a TV license. Really? Unreal. But I talked about last week with that listener sent me an email about coming to the door and trying to look through the window and trying to force their way into the house. And nah, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Don't think so. But no, I have another email actually here from another girl, Gillian, who sent me an email, has said about the same thing. It says, hi Matthew, great insight on the TV license subject last week. I too, with my husband, had the same experience during lockdown, where TV license men were coming to the door, trying to force their way into our houses, demanding to see a TV license and also see our TV. When you knew yourself back during the first lockdown, nobody was allowed to enter your home. We were told if we didn't pay our TV license, we could face £1,000 fine and a risk of possibly imprisonment. Okay, what? Really? They're unreal. This guy would refuse to leave the property after my husband asked him on multiple occasions to leave the property. We also threatened to phone police because we felt we were being harassed at our own home, especially during lockdown. Also, when he came to the door, he was not wearing a mask. Not that we were for masks, but during the first lockdown, everybody was required to wear them. Our opinion is we don't watch live TV anymore. We refuse to pay for a TV license because we think we should not be paying it, especially old age pensioners as well should not be paying it from over the age of 60. Okay. Thanks, Gillian Futter. But at the end of the day, guys, everybody has their own opinion on it. And I had my opinion on it last week. I'd like to hear more of you guys think about it. What do you think of it all? Because at the end of the day, it's a touchy subject, and a lot of people are a little bit annoyed about it all. Again, guys, go to the TV license website, go to the government website. The laws state there, if you don't do any of those, you don't require to pay a TV license. It's as simple and plain as that. That's the way it is. But the fact that they're scaring people really, 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 really annoys me, especially the older generation. It really does bother me. Sorry, another swig of water for the working man. It's really, really warm in this room today. Oh dear. But yeah, TV license is an absolute disaster. Okay, this is another one here from Tim. I'm sure it's Timothy, is it? Tim for short? I don't know. He says, is there anywhere in the world, Matthew, you'd love to travel to? Anywhere in Pacific you'd like to point out and say, yes, that is the place I want to go to? Enjoy the podcast. Keep up the good work, Tim. Okay, Tim. Is there places in this world I want to go to right now? There is. There's plenty of places I want to go to in this world right now. And I'll tell you a wee story, guys. This past month, September, I was supposed to be in Greece. And how do you pronounce it? Is it Santorini or whatever it's called? In Greece. I was supposed to be there for 5 days. I had a surprise trip booked for Sandra and I, which unfortunately didn't happen now because, as you all probably know, we broke up in April, which sucks. But we were supposed to go to Greece because we always talked about going to Greece. We did book it originally together, and then obviously lockdown happened, so we had to cancel it. But with all the borders reopening again, the world getting back to some type of normality, I had booked it for September as a wee surprise. And unfortunately, it wasn't going to go into fruition because we're no longer together, which is a nightmare. So I had to be cancelled. So yes, I'd love to go there. Cyprus is another country I'd love to visit. I would love to visit Cyprus. Always wanted to visit Cyprus. Anywhere else in the world, I'd love to see Australia, because apparently Australia is a beautiful country. New Zealand is another beautiful country. Now, I've been to the States a few times. I'd love to go back to Florida again, because Florida was beautiful. Orlando out there for a week one time. It was beautiful. The weather was outstanding. I want to go back to New York City. So I do. As a simple fact, the last time I was there was 2004 for WrestleMania 20. WWE show, and when I was there at the time, the Twin Towers were just a big hole in the ground. Just not long after the terrorist attack happened in the country, and I want to go back and see the water fountains and see the new Freedom Tower, go up the tower. I want to go back to the city and really thoroughly enjoy it, because the last time when I went to the city I never really got a chance to enjoy it much because of the people who I was with, plus the fact that I was rushing around because I was only there for like 2-3 days for WrestleMania. So I want to go back to New York. There's quite a lot of places, Tim, I'd love to go to in the world, and I'm getting it off the bucket list. I mean, Lewis and I were supposed to be heading to, LA is another place I want to go to. We were supposed to be heading to LA next year for WrestleMania, but the plans have changed for that again, so we're going to leave it the next year to go to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is another place I want to go to. I want to try a Philadelphia cheesesteak. That would be an awesome place to go to. Plus the fact that we get to go and watch WrestleMania 40, which we're definitely going to next year. But yes, Tim, that is a spot that I would love to go to, a couple of wee spots I'd love to go to. But I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't get the chance to go to Greece, because that part of Greece just looks beautiful. And the fact that it was booked to go and I had to cancel, which was a nightmare. So what can you do? It's just one of those things. Life can be unfair at times, and in this case it was unfair. So there's not much really what I can do about it apart from just get on with it and just sort of, maybe one day I'll get there. Don't know who I'll go with, but I'll get there. Eventually, I will get there one day. Fingers crossed. Right, this one's from Simon. It says, Matthew, love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Is there anything in life at all you've always wanted to do but you've never done? Like, for example, and he goes through a whole list of things here. Oh, God. There actually is quite a few here I'd love to do. I'm not even going to read them all because there's that many. But anyway, is there anything in my life I always wanted to do? Yes, there is. There's quite a few things. One thing, and you're going to laugh at this, I'd love to skydive. Really, I would love to jump out of a plane. You know what I was going to do a couple of years ago? I was thinking about doing it for charity. And, I was thinking to myself, right, I'm gonna skydive for Macmillan Cancer Charity or for another cancer charity that sort of helped out family and stuff over the years. And I've always wanted to do it. And I know a few people who have done it, and they said the adrenaline rush is unreal. So that would be a goal to do. Always wanted to do. Now you're going to laugh at this, people, when I tell you this. I've always wanted to stand inside a WWE ring. Now, I know I wrestled before, as a wrestler before and a promoter and stuff like that, but I've always wanted to stand inside a WWE ring. I've always wanted to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've always wanted to, let me think, stand on the pitch at Anfield and kick the ball into the net at the Cop end. That's another thing I've always wanted to do. You're probably thinking this is stupid, but that's just it is. Yeah, I'm a very simple guy, but skydiving would be one thing I'd love to do. I'd love to go to Niagara Falls as well. That'd be quite a nice place to go to. And do it, or even, what do you call that thing you do down the side of a building? I can't remember the name of it now. But do something like that. Was it rappel down the side of a building, or what is it called? I don't know, whatever it is. But yeah, that's just a couple of things I'd love to do. But skydiving would be awesome. So I would love to do it even for a charity, because we have watched people do it before and had it filmed with GoPros and stuff like that. And the guy back in the football days, the guy Andy Long, you call him, he done it for diabetes charity. His young sister has a high rate of diabetes, and he done one for the charity that helped her. And he gave me the footage to put on TV channel years ago, and I asked him what it was like, and he goes, there's no drug in this world, there's no alcohol in this world, there's no feeling in this world, apart from obviously having a kid or whatever, because he didn't have any kids himself. But he asked me what that was like, and I said, that's just an amazing feeling. But he goes, there's no drug in this world, there's no alcoholic drink in this world, or anything that will give you a buzz like that when you're falling from thousands of feet looking down, and the adrenaline rush is just unreal. So I'm thinking, I've always wanted to do it. So that's probably one thing I'd love to do, is jump out of a plane. You probably think I'm insane, but that would be awesome. I would love to do that. So I would, really, really would. Right, guys, that's going to end of the questions anyway. And that's going to bring us to the end of this podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry I've rambled on just quite a little bit today. 1 hour and what the machine here, 1 hour and 25 minutes. Guys, I'm going to try my best night today and tomorrow to get some people speaking on the energy crisis situation, or cost of living crisis as it's called. Please get in touch with me, mirrorarmypodcast@yahoo.com, or contact me on social media. What's your experience with your situation with the the gas prices, the electricity prices, the fuel prices, prices of living in general going up? Let me hear your experiences on it, because I really do want to hear on it. I'm going to go out this week, as I said, with a mic, and I want to go out and try and get some interviews with some staff, even people who work in businesses, to see how it affects them as a trader. You know what I mean? How's business doing for you since then? You know what I mean? So try and get a couple on for Thursday's podcast. So get in touch with me, mirrorarmypodcast@yahoo.com, or social media. Let me hear what you think. And don't forget, guys, our website, mirrorarmy.co.uk, and I want to try and get those exercises as requested from one of our viewers today for the merch. Get your merch, watch the videos, all the channels, everything's all on there, photographs, you name it, it's all on the mirrorarmy.co.uk website. Hope you enjoyed the podcast today, guys. I'm going to go now and get on with the rest of my day and get this put up on Spotify, Apple Music, and if you're listening to us on YouTube as well, guys, please subscribe below, and also share this podcast with all your friends and family. Get more people involved. We want to make this into like a little bit of a, should we say, a family, and sort of have everybody involved as much as we can. So guys, until Thursday, till the Unleashed podcast, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week until Thursday. And until then, I'll see you all down the road.